All right, before you begin, I want you to stop. If you have not read 2 books on your social issues, stop, pause this lesson, go make sure you have read at least 2 books, and then come back to get started. All right, so here's our standard. Readers can learn more about social issues by reading multiple books and by studying the characters' conflicts, traits, feelings, and motivations. Pause this video and make sure that you underline the important keywords. So readers can learn more about their social issue. Remember, social issues affects people. And usually it's a lot of people. It's not just one person. By reading multiple, that's more than one, books, and by studying, so that's like looking carefully at something. The character, remember, it can be a person, it can be a animal, it's whatever's in your book. Conflicts are problems. Traits, that's usually something consistent. You're either always nice, you're always shy, or something like that. Feelings are reactions to specific situations. So I feel mad when you do this, when somebody hits me, or I am upset when my parents yell at me. And motivations is why somebody does it. Okay? So remember, there are different types of social issues. There's global warming, bullying, racism, homelessness, protecting the environment, divorce, poverty, and discrimination. There's more than this, but this is just what I've listed. So remember, a social issue is a problem that affects a large number of people within a society. That could be, the society could be school, neighborhood, it could be Concord, it could be Kannapolis. It is often the consequence or the effect of factors beyond a person's control. So a consequence would be, I am a girl, so I can't play football. Or because of my race, I couldn't do a certain activity. I cannot control the race that I was born with. I cannot control being a girl. Social issues can be a source of conflict or different opinions. So think about when I say somebody told me I can't play football because I'm a girl. Another boy might say, yeah, that makes sense, you're a girl. But in my opinion, I think I should play. Why do social issues matter? Because they impact you, me, and the world around us. We talked about Visco Girls before. Save the Sea Turtles is an example of a social issue for the environment. So think about, if they don't help us, what will happen to the sea turtles? We wouldn't have any. Have you ever been bullied or bullied someone else? You have been impacted on a social issue, or maybe your friend has been bullied, or you've watched somebody get bullied. Think about how your parents or your friends' parents might be divorced. I told you before that I had a friend that was divorced, and it impacted me because I couldn't go to her house all the time. So it affects the world around us. It's not just one person. Social issues impact all of our lives in some way. So remember back, we talked about how do we find the social issue. We ask ourselves these questions as we read. What are the character's struggles or challenges? What is fair or unfair in this text? Who is accepted or rejected? And who has the power in this text? Who doesn't? How do they use that power? So if we go back to those shoes, Jeremy is talking to his grandma saying, I want them. There's no room for want around here, just need. Grandma says, and what you need are new boots for winter. Let's keep on going in here. On Saturday, Grandma says, let's check out those shoes you're wanting so much. I got a little bit of money set aside. Might be enough, you never know. At the shoe store, Grandma turns their shoes over so she can check the price. When she sees it, she sits down heavy. Maybe they wrote it down wrong, I say. Grandma shakes her head. So when we think about what are the characters' struggles or challenges, well, Jeremy wanted new shoes, but did not have enough money. What is unfair or fair in this text? Well, it's unfair that other kids had them. And they laughed at him. So who is accepted or rejected? Well, Jeremy is rejected. Who has the power in the text? It's the kids. And it's money had the power. To figure out Jeremy's challenge, one of the things that I have to do is I have to put myself in his situation or put somebody that I care about in the situation. I have to relate to the character to have a better understanding, and that's what the author wants us to do. They want us to relate to the character. So when we think about the social issue, Jeremy didn't have enough money. So because he didn't have enough money, his social issue was poverty. So in here we need to find two key details that shows that Jeremy is facing poverty. So when we think about that, we already talked about one. Grandma said she didn't have enough money. She even said that was a want, not a need, and right now you need new boots. Another key detail is when Mr. Alfrey was giving Jeremy new shoes, he knew that they were falling apart. So he was the guidance counselor. So in there, the key detail was Mr. Alfrey gave him shoes because his were falling apart. So both of my key details relate to poverty, which is what we want them to do. So let's look at it in Maddie's fridge. So right here, Sophia swung open the door of Maddie's fridge. "What have you got?" "We have milk," Maddie said. "I'm saving it for Ryan. He's still little." "Why doesn't your mom go to the store?" Sophia asked. "We don't have enough money." "But what if you get hungry?" "We have some bread," Maddie said. "I guess I'll go home to eat," Sophia said. "Please don't tell anyone," Maddie said. "Okay, promise?" "I promise." So what we need to ask ourselves, what are the character's struggles or challenges? Well, Maddie does not have enough money for food. What is fair or unfair in the text? Well, the child does not have food. In this situation, there's nothing accepted or rejected, but who has the power? Well, Sophia has the power. Because she has food and eventually she used it to help. Now remember, you should be putting yourself in those situations to help you to understand the social issue. When we go back, we can figure out the social issue. So the social issue here is poverty because they don't have enough money. And a key detail in this situation, Maddie says they don't have money. And then another key detail is Sophia brings Maddie food and she saves some for her brother. We notice that in both of those shoes and Maddie's fridge, both of their social issues is the same. They both have poverty as the main issue. All right, friends, we're going to do this together, so make sure you get out a piece of paper and you write this down. So the social issue is poverty. Take a second and think about what we already know. So what we know is poverty means not having enough money for food, or just for their needs. So let's change that to needs. And it can lead to no food or even wants. Take a second and add to that. All right, for the next one, want to learn, I want you to write down what you want to learn. Pause this video now and do that. We are going to fill out these charts together to figure out what we've learned from our KWL chart. So with those shoes, his motivation was to get those shoes was that all his friends were getting the shoes. And then Jeremy was very determined to get it. He wanted those shoes really bad, even if they didn't fit. So his feelings as he got borrowed shoes, he was embarrassed. Another trait that Jeremy had was he saw one of his friends didn't have shoes to wear, and they were falling apart like his was. So he was also a very generous person. And because he had that feeling of sadness, we could put that down for his friend. Okay? For Maddie's fridge, she was very embarrassed because her fridge was empty. And I would even say that Sophia was generous because her motivation was to help others. Do you see how I'm connecting the trait to the motivation of what they did and the feeling to motivation, what they did? That's very important in this. We can learn here that in both situations there was acts of generosity, and there was places where they were embarrassed about having poverty. So going back to our chart, we've learned that poverty can happen to kids. We also know that poverty, can be embarrassing. And others can be generous to people facing poverty. All right, it is your turn. You're going to reread your book on Epic from last week. If you had a chapter book, choose 1 or 2 chapters to focus on. You're going to determine the social issue in your book, and you're going to create a KWL chart for your social issue. This can be drawn on paper and a picture submitted, or you can just write it on Canvas. And then you should complete a graphic organizer for the 2 books, just like I've done. All right, guys. Hope you're doing well. Bye.